everyone who knows you're struck by the fact that alongside the savage indignation, you also have a savage sense of humour. It's a very black, comic sense of humour, isn't it?
I can't see any other way to look at it. I mean, when the worst things happen to you in life, I mean, now, for example, I used to always worry that I'd be buried alive, and I have friends lined up to make sure that I have a long wake, and I also want to be pricked somewhere with a pin to make sure that I'm really dead. So I remember one time reading this horrible American magazine article about a new building project somewhere in New York, and it was built on an old graveyard. And when they were digging up, finding these clawed coffins. But I don't intend that. I'm sure it's all nonsense, but I don't intend it to happen to me. So I'm going to be cremated. But I don't want to be burned alive either, so my friends are lined up to ensure that this doesn't happen.
One of your best black comic cracks was that you said the thing you would resent most about dying would be that you'd have to leave all your beautiful antiques and objets behind. Your house is full of lovely things.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I couldn't bear it. I feel very jealous and possessive about them because I bought them over, what, 30 years. I know every scratch and every patina of every day I've owned them. And the idea of anybody else, I used to say, in fact, my husband, I used to say, would you get married again? And I said I really didn't have any objection. The only part I couldn't bear is the idea of someone shunting my antiques around and touching my furniture. I couldn't bear that. I know it's very material, but that's how it is. If I could only bring them with me, but I can.
Well, how would you describe your state of mind now? How are you now?
Completely content. I know that at the moment I'm on my energy-giving steroids, which help me along, but they have no effect on the serious cancer. And I'm completely content to know that any of these days or weeks or months that the terminal phase of my illness will come. But I haven't. In fact, I actually find it slightly interesting because all the other phases of my life have been interesting, so I can't see that this would be any different. Dying must have an interesting side to it. It's a pity it has to come a little prematurely, but I have no fears whatsoever. Most people who are afraid of death, afraid of judgment, I would be. I'm afraid when I have a lot of parking tickets or I have to go into court in front of an ordinary magistrate and I'm fairly articulate. There's a certain fear, and that is the main reason. I don't have that, you see. I'm afraid I'm a believer in science, not superstition. I know that to me death is just taking of a deep breath and going into a beautiful sleep, the kind of sleep that you'd sometimes like to go to when you're having difficulty going to sleep. I imagine that my family will be with me. In fact, I know that they will. And I will happily go on what is, in fact, the end of a very natural journey. After all, birth, life and death are all part of a very interesting and exciting sort of, how would you describe it? When you're a small child, you're always looking forward to everything. And then when you get to my age, to accept everything that's going to happen. It's not so, you're not so uptight about it all. And now that I've come to die at approximately 54, as I keep on saying, I always like to add on a little bit, 55, 56 even. But according to my medical advice at the moment, they say that I have only a very short time. But I have no fears for it at all. You see, when I was going to school, I was filled with fear of death. I really was. I remember as a child being quite terrified of this judge. I imagined the look of Christ was very frightening. He always had a beard, and he was very angry. He never seemed to look upon us as the words that we were taught. Interestingly enough, a very loving judge. But mainly and the details that were given to us then were very terrifying. This man was there going to judge us so wickedly for everything that we had done, when in fact life had been a very hard struggle for most people. So I have I have no fear at all of death, none. I have just, in fact, I sometimes actually look forward to it with a certain, for example, I would much rather to die quickly than to be in a terminal state which was causing misery to myself and great pain to my family. But as for being afraid of death, oh, not at all. It should be interesting. There must be something interesting. No phase of life that is so much talked about could possibly be boring. And in America now, where they have a new glut of literature and books on grieving and dying and all of that, they actually have a respect for the Irish attitude to death. You see, there is one way where we really win out over other countries. We tend in one way to celebrate death once it has happened. We're afraid of it before it happens, but having taken place, we celebrate it. And the Irish wake, for example, is a marvellous idea of grieving and coming together and celebrating of life with the next of kin. And that often were the next of kin, but with the loved ones. Although them aren't always loved ones. Part of the great joy of my childhood was being sent to a wake, and we used to always look forward. I remember on one occasion there was a wake and some of the local Yahoo wasn't allowed in, and they went outside and they got their jacket and they tied it around the chimney, and then they tied the lock on the door outside, and we were all inside with the smoke from the fire. The man at the house had to pump water, and they used to do things like that. And another time they would tie a piece of string onto the toe of the corpse, and when everybody was sitting around the bed, give it a little tug, you see. And the local people, no matter what sort of an old wretch had died, everybody would say, ah, he was a grand poor fella. And all of this was marvellous. So it was bound to have had, interspersed with the religious education which you got, which was very unfavourable towards death. Converse then with that was the fun surrounding it and the laughter. I always found marvellous. All of that has helped me, so I have no fear whatever. No, none at all.